Hello and welcome to driving an EV in the UK. Now, if you take it from the title that I've probably given this video, then we know that there's something that didn't go quite as well as it should have. Let's just put it that way. And I made a list because I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget everything in the order in which it happened. So, with that, let's get on and find out what disaster in charging happened. Okay, as you take it, I came back from Scotland and I left Carlisle with enough to get back and had plenty, so I didn't have to rush and go to a charger. So I arrived back with 50 miles worth of range still, which is quite enough for me to do what I had to do the next day, to go shopping and do things like that. So on the Sunday morning I got up and it wasn't the best of days. It was drizzly, dull, and I thought, okay, but I'll just go and put a charge and do a quick stop off at a shop over on the Gateshead side of the water, then just come home. So what happens? We arrive at the first charger, which is Gateshead International Stadium, and what was happening? They had an event on. So the car park was full and so was the charger, with no idea how long it would be before a car would come off a charger. So I left there and I went to Heaven. Heaven's the next step along, and that's where there is 2 chargers, but that's also the site where I've had trouble in the past with chargers not working a lot. So I turned up there and one of the chargers was off, and this was the same charger that was off before I'd went away. So it's been off for like 3 weeks to that point, and it was still off. The other charger had a car on it and I didn't know how long it was going to be. So I moved on to what's called Rolling Mills, which is just like an industrial big buildings with a charge outside. When I arrived to that one, which is charger 3, there was a Tesla charging up, and you know how big a battery a Tesla has, so you knew it was going to take quite some time. So I left there. About a mile further down the road we come into Jarrow. Jarrow's charger was turned off, so that's charger 4. Charger 4 Jarrow, off. Not on, no lights, no nothing, but a nice bit of graffiti written over it. So then I thought, well, we'll go down to South Shields then. I don't mind the drive. I had plenty of range, so I thought, well, we'll just have a little drive down to South Shields. So we arrived at the Customs House one which I've been to quite a number of times, and when I turned up, it was off. So that is the second charger in a row that was turned off. No lights, no nothing. From the Customs House we went to Winchester Street. Now that's just around the corner, and another one I'd been to before, and that one, when I turned up, wasn't only just off, but it had a sticker on saying do not use, and it had those little red like fence and stuff, that the plastic ones, you know, that they use on roadsides to make their paths for people to walk down, to keep them with them type of things. If you've seen them, you know, they're a UK thing probably, you know, probably know that country's stupid enough to use them. But so Winchester off, and Winchester was charger 6 I'd been to. So I thought, well, we'll go along the road a bit, because along the road is charger 7 on the seafront. I got there and that was turned off. So 4 chargers in a row turned off. not being used, just turned off, and you couldn't use them. So from there I thought, well, I'll head inland and I'll do another stop off at Roland and see if the Tesla's finished and gone, so, and if it's empty for me to go on. And I'm going, well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get much of a charge unless any of the chargers that I'd been to were now empty. So I went down a road which took me past a smaller charger, and I thought, well, even if I just put an hour's worth in, that's more than enough to do us until I get further up in that lot, because my mileage was starting to come down. I was coming into the 20s at that time, and I'm going, well, we might as well see about putting something in, because if I'm going to charge at home, which was an option, then having to charge faster than what I can charge at home would be a benefit, and if the charge is free, then that actually also cuts costs down. So from that we arrived at a street which had a charger on the street. So I got to where the charger was, and lo and behold, I barely could see the charger with the two vehicles that were parked there. But they weren't electric vehicles. They were a dirty great pickup truck type thing, and it was not electric, and they were not plugged into it. So that charger, even though there was parking spaces a little further along, somebody had decided to park in the electric car parking and block the chargers. So that was charger 8. Nearly put too many fingers up there. So charger 9, we got back to Rolling Mills, and the Tesla was still there. If you take it, I hadn't given it enough time to bugger off, so it was still there. So I'm going, okay. So I'm driving back, watching my miles come down, because after leaving there, I think I was at something like 20, 22, 23 miles. And I'm going, I need quite a big charge now. Now, take it, I still had options. One option was to go to Tesco's and connect on the charger at Tesco's, but it was a miserable day and it was raining on and off, and it would took 3 hours to charge back up at the littler charger. So I'm going, yeah, I don't really fancy having to sit around for 3 hours when it's bad weather and dull and miserable to charge up. So my second option was to just come home and charge up on the house electrics, but I haven't done a charge at home of that length of time, because the car told us it was going to take 10 hours to do, and I don't really fancy having my home charger, the granny cable plug, plugged in for 10 hours. And I'm going, right, so I have an option of charging, or what else do I have? On the way back, I pass a Lidl. So I thought, well, I'd better pick up something, because I'd spent all the time just driving from one charger to another, because I couldn't be bothered, because I thought, well, if I got to the next charger, then I will be there for some time, so then I could look at the shops and get shopping. But that didn't work out that way, did it? So, charger 10, Lidl. I arrived at charger 10 at Lidl, and it was empty. I pulled in, and this one is a pod point 50 kilowatts, and it costs money. So note that I had options to spend less money or to spend nothing, but my decision was that I might as well charge at a faster speed because I'm very low, than to charge at a slower speed and have expense and worry about the plugs at home overheating or sitting around for 3 hours waiting for a charge to happen at Tesco's. So I'm going, let's just try it. Let's just see what happened, because I haven't been on them chargers before. So I had to use the app. Now, just say, I have most of the apps on my phone, which makes it a lot easier than having to wait to download them. If there's chargers nearby, I know what they are, and I know who runs them just about. So I have apps which cover each of these chargers. So I have a Pod Point 1 because the Pod Point 1 at Aldi is the same Pod Point 1 that you use to start Tesco chargers off with. So therefore I had it. The only thing that I didn't have is I hadn't made any payment, because I was all using free ones. I hadn't given them any money, because I thought, well, you put on the charge and then they charge you off your card once you've got it. No, they do it a different way. You have to credit your account to be able to get a charge, and therefore, now, it's not a bad idea. It's better than going to a charger and getting charged £100 before you can even put anything in, and then they take off what you owe, charge what you owe, and then give you the £100 back after a week or so, which is crap. It's just, there's no way of that. So I stood there and it's going, you can't charge, you have no money, you need to top up. And I'm going, okay, now how long's topping up going to take? So I went on, I put in my payment details, and I said, well, here, I'll give you £10, because I took it that if I was going to put as much in as I could, the likelihood is that I would spend more than £5. So there's no point putting 5 in, because that wouldn't be a complete full charge. So I put 10 in, because I knew my car wouldn't take more than that anyway. At 25 pence, 10 is about 40 units, and my car would only ever, from totally empty to totally full, take 28. So that works out. So I credited 10 to the account, and then go, okay, now, is it going to do it straight away? Or am I going to have to wait for it to get from payment onto my account and be able to charge? It actually did it straight away. So I just told it to start. It was, I think, 36 minutes to charge. But what it did show first was the time up to 80 minutes was like 20 odd. I thought at that point that it might have stopped charging at the 80%. And I was going, okay, that's fine. If it stops at 80, that's more than enough anyway. So I'm going, let's see. So I had left it. I went to the shops nearby, and I came back. When I came back, it had gone over the 80%, and therefore it was heading to my usual cut-off point for 50 kilowatts, which is 94%. So I'm going, okay, let's let it go and let's see if it does stop at 94%. So that's why it took 36 minutes, because one, I arrived there with 18% in the battery and 21 miles left. So it needed a lot more than what I would normally need, and that's what the extra time was. But there were shops, so I took up time, and I also came back and kept checking on it and seeing how it was. So 36 minutes, didn't care, and it finished. I was there right beside the charger when it finished, and it clicked off at 94%. At that, what it had put in was something, I don't remember what it was, but I'd gone from 18% to 94, took 36 minutes, and it cost me £5.82, which is the biggest amount of money I've ever spent charging the car. But if you take it, I would have spent a lot more filling up with fuel. So we've used a paid charger because we had to, but it wasn't everything I had to do. I didn't have to go to 94%. I didn't have to go even half the way. I could have went to 50% and said that'll do, because now I just could have enough time now to get to a different charger on a different day and charge up free. Or I could have charged up halfway and came home and charged at a cheaper price. I could have done that. I decided, my decision was to charge up to the 94%. So this is what we say, is that we use a charger when we have to, and if it costs money, then we try to find the charger that is the cheapest. That is the charger which is the cheapest, with the 25 pence. If I'd left and went to a different charger, I would have ended up at Ioniq, Instavolt one, and that would have been 41 pence. So 41 pence or 25 pence, I picked the 25 pence. Like, everyone who is sensible should. Doesn't matter what speed they give you. What's the point if it's going to cost you so much money that you're going to complain about it? So, the disaster of chargers, that it took 10 chargers before I could put any charge in the car, because they were off or being used, because all the rest of them were off, that there was a bottleneck at the ones that did work, so therefore you couldn't get onto them. And it was a Sunday and it was horrible, so most people weren't out. Why so many chargers off? Why so few chargers in the first place? A single charger is not good enough at any site unless it's out of the way and in a place where few people go, but it's there because it's really essential to have some in out of way places, because you never know when you're going to need to be charged. So, with that disaster of charging, what can we say? We are coming up to having the car for 1 year, and I will do a video on what's happened, how much I've spent, and all of that. So, with that, see you on the next video.